Welcome to the 700 Club and Merry Christmas to you. Our first story has to do with indictments, lawsuits, and inflammatory speech. In spite of all the baggage, former President Donald Trump still holds a commanding lead in the GOP primaries.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis tells CBN News that he believes media coverage is distorting the race and that he can raise a serious challenge against Trump. CBN's chief political analyst David Brody spoke with Governor DeSantis in Iowa.
How you doing? Good to see you.
Ron DeSantis is a man on the move, and in Iowa, he needs to quickly make a big one if he hopes to catch Donald Trump.
How do you get past him? He has this Teflon quality.
Trump does obviously have a certain segment that's very strong. A lot of these people, though, that come up in these polls, a lot of them are soft. I mean, they remember him, they like his policies, but they are willing to vote for somebody else.
But before Trump, he needs to head off upstart challenger Nikki Haley. Both are battling it out to be the last candidate standing against Trump.
How do you see the contours between you and Nikki Haley, kind of, let's be honest, in a battle to get in that second spot to take on Trump? It's like the NCAA tournament here.
Well, look, she's not going to be able to win Iowa. I can.
Why is that?
And the reason is because you have to appeal to core Republicans and conservatives. I think she really represents more of the old establishment type of thinking.
Thank you all for taking the time.
DeSantis hopes big endorsements from Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds and top evangelical leader Bob Vander Plaats will give him a leg up. He believes his record on the life issue, taking on Disney, and many other culture war fights will play well here in the Hawkeye State.
Everyone comes here every presidential cycle and says a lot of the same things, but I've actually delivered.
His unwavering commitment to Israel and the biblical homeland could also make an impact.
There's a lot of anti-Zionism out there. Do you see anti-Zionism as anti-Semitism?
That's how we've defined it in Florida. So like I did a bill to combat anti-Semitism on college campuses way back in 2019, and we made that same point. I mean, look, if Israel's the only country you're singling out, you only care about the world's only Jewish state, you're not singling out any of these other, and you're acting like that, that is a telltale sign that this is the case. And I think it's important that we get the history right. When I see some of these imbeciles on college campuses saying Israel's a colonial power, excuse me, Judea and Samaria, those go back to biblical times. Those are ancient Jewish lands.
For DeSantis, policy positions have not really been an issue. The big obstacle is convincing a loyal base to ditch Trump.
You've been hit by the MAGA movement because a lot of them don't like you because they say you should have waited and let Trump run. If not unopposed, you definitely should not have run.
It's a republic. It's not a monarchy. Everyone has a right to be able to run. Obviously, Trump could win the primary. I'm not convinced he can win the general. I can.
You know, the polls are showing a lot of this was about you or whoever. A lot of people are making the general election case, but Donald Trump's showing in 7 of these swing state polls that he is up by 3, 4, 5 points.
But you know, when has he ever led in that? And the media has never wanted to show him ever leading up until very recently. So why are they doing that? I think they're trying to create a narrative that scares Democrats to replace Biden and also tries to convince Republicans, oh yeah, you know, go ahead and nominate Trump. I guarantee you 6 or 9 months later, those polls are going to look a lot different. The media will be putting out polls saying the exact opposite.
The reality is this: it's an uphill climb for anyone not named Trump. And DeSantis admits that if he had a magic wand, he'd wave it for one big change.
I mean, I would say if I could have one thing change, I wish Trump hadn't been indicted on any of this stuff. I mean, honestly, I think that, you know, from Alvin Bragg on, I've criticized the cases. I think, you know, someone like a Bragg would not have brought that case if it was anyone other than Donald Trump. And so, you know, someone like that's distorting justice, which is bad. But I also think it distorted the primary.
Because it's helped him? Is that what you're saying?
It's both that, but then it also has just crowded out, I think, so much other stuff, and it's sucked out a lot of oxygen.
That's interesting. You're saying it made him stronger in a way, and it made it tougher for you and others.
I think for the primary, it distorted. Yeah, I think it distorted.
The hope is that some GOP voters will grow tired of all the controversies. The latest one, when Trump talked about the border and certain illegal immigrants poisoning the blood of the country. That language has been compared to a similar phrase by Adolf Hitler.
He's gotten a lot of pushback on that. I want to get your reaction to those words that he used.
When you start talking about using those types of terms, I don't think that that helps us move the ball forward. I would not put it in those terms. I want to stop the invasion at the border 100%, but then legal immigration should really only be for people that buy into our core values as a country and that actually want to assimilate into American society.
It's all part of a message he hopes resonates in Iowa and beyond.
So if you guys are participating in the Iowa caucus on January 15th, I'd love to have your support.
DeSantis and the rest of the country will start getting answers in less than a month. David Brody, CBN News, reporting from Des Moines, Iowa.
Well, I hope you take Governor DeSantis' words and take them to heart. Polls are going to be released that are absolutely engineered to change the climate, if you will, change public opinion. They're being very intentional in their surveys, and you can use different survey techniques to skew the results. We're seeing it over Israel right now, and come this political season, we're going to see it in full force. Let's have a little bit of a history lesson right now. Go all the way back to 1860. That's the last time a presidential candidate was kept off the ballot. His name, Abraham Lincoln. His party, he was a Republican. Where was he excluded from the presidential ballot? All the slave states. So we're seeing history repeat, and it's an odd repeat. In other news, officials continue to struggle with an overwhelming surge on the southern border. In response, the Border Patrol is shutting down crossings, and Texas Governor Greg Abbott is taking matters into his own hands. Wendy Griffith has more.
Record numbers of migrants are crossing the southern border this week. On Monday alone, the Border Patrol encountered more than 12,000 people, and they keep coming.
Hundreds were seen huddling in Eagle Pass, some wrapped in blankets as they awaited processing.
And I suspect Christmas will be worse than today, and New Year's will be worse than today. We're going the absolute wrong direction.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott going on offense. He sent more than 100 migrants by plane to Chicago after the city council targeted his busing mission. The governor also signed a new law empowering local and state police to arrest migrants suspected of crossing into the state illegally, as well as letting judges send some back to Mexico. The White House doesn't like it.
This is not who we are as a country. This is not who we should be as a country.
Reverend Samuel Rodriguez of the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference disagrees. He says the White House could and should stop the flow of migrants from Mexico immediately.
President Biden, before a teleprompter and a camera, announcing to the world, do not come to America illegally. You will not be accepted. That line right there will stop the flow in the southern border.
El Paso County and the ACLU are suing Texas, claiming the federal government has exclusive power over immigration. They also claim the new law will overburden jails and deny migrants the chance to request asylum.
We need to surge immigration judges to the border. This is America. People need to get their cases heard in days, not years. And if they do not qualify for asylum, they need to be deported.
Meanwhile, federal officials temporarily closed several border entry points, including some railway crossings. One freight company says that's costing as much as $200 million a day. Wendy Griffith, CBN News.
Well, let me underline that quote from the White House. This is our current administration. This is not who we are as a country. This is not who we should be as a country. Well, let me remind you that the United States of America has laws, and they have immigration laws. And you can't, as an administration, say, I'm not going to enforce those laws. That's who we are as a country. We are a country of laws. If you're going to be in the administration, you've made a commitment that you will abide by the current law. I will remind you, you had control of both houses. You could have passed immigration reform. If you want to make an ideological statement, this is not who we are as a country. When you had the power, when you had the ability, you didn't move forward with a reform. You've done it by fiat. That shouldn't happen. You have to enforce the border. We're not a sovereign nation if our borders are completely open. That is well established in international law, well established in U.S. law. That's who we are as a country.